First of all, Wolfgang, let me acknowledge that when you were saying that this child lives on, that this is what he talks about the death of the infant, but in that line that I passed, the passage that I quoted from the ones who are discussing it, they say, so what does survival mean? If the child lives on, what does survival mean? And Blanchot's intention is clearly to suggest that there is an acquiescence that lives on, that the infant's relation to the impossible lives on. And that is, it lives in us in a mode that is extremely difficult to define. As you say, it's somehow there, but it's not something that we have access to. Blanchot refuses the language of psychoanalysis, or he says, I'm not competent. You have to be a practicing analyst to use this language. So he will not use the language of the unconscious to talk about this, but he does suggest that there is something like an otherness in us, and my effort here, in a certain sense, is to start to try to think the structure of that, and I'm trying to use this word acquiescence, and so so then to move on to your question, when you notice that the only way I talked about Gelassenheit was to ask Gabriel's Gelassenheit, Geworfenheit, was to ask, did I hear it? And no more. I think that there cannot be any assertion in that regard. That cannot be a matter of any kind of certainty. Just as when Blanchot comments on the phrase "on tue un enfant," just as he gives it to try to think this relation, he takes it away and says that these words cannot be said, and he works as hard as he can to pull it away from any kind of conceptual usage, and then interrupts the passage and gives us the narrative, which is an entirely different mode of writing, and enormously, well, I would insist that it's a different mode of writing, and it starts with that, suppose this, and invites the reader to the space of the imaginary, I would say, speaking very quickly. When I tried to write about infancy in infant figures, those, if you know that, I did so in a dialogue that broke apart. I could only do it fictively, and I could only do it in fragments. And so I think that it's something to, it's something to be, I think it's something to be honored, so I felt the exigency of writing. I think it's something that I could not go on thinking without trying to bring this in some form to words. But it cannot be brought to words in any kind of conceptual elaboration. And that has to be said, and it has to be performed.